Chapter 3, Months Leading Up to the Instance. So it happened. On one of the Sunday morning services, a new lady showed up with two of her teenage sons. Abundant Life Christian Fellowship, the church the Jensens attended at the time, wasn't that big, so it was easy to recognize newcomers. This lady was about 5 foot tall, an obese lady with thin, straight, blonde hair. Her sons were both over 6 feet tall and also obese. They were close to Judah's age, who was 15 at the time. Both boys had curly brown hair. Joy, eager to welcome newcomers, as she always did, introduced herself to the new family in the Abundant Life Church. Her name was Jean, and her sons' names were Ben, who was 16 years old, and John, who was 18. The greeting time never was that long, so that was as far as they got in introductions. After service, Joy made sure she approached them again to get to know them more and made them feel welcomed in the church. Jean and her boys started coming regularly to every service Abundant Life held. She started to gain a good rapport among the believers. Joy kept approaching the new family and learned a lot about them. As she befriended them more, Jean revealed that she was a witch. She had come from a line of witches and claimed to want to get out of it. That's why she was coming to a Christian church, to learn about Christianity and God. Joy took that as a personal challenge or assignment to keep talking with Jean about Jesus. Her hopes were to try to keep them coming to church so maybe they would get saved. In the back of Joy's mind, however, lurked that natural disposition, the curiosity about telling the future. She made a subconscious mental note that could be one of Jean's, the witch's, so-called abilities. Joy, after learning the fact about Jean and her boys, told Judah, Grace, and Anthony. I was talking with Jean today. Jean said that she and her boys are a witch and warlocks. She said that they were coming to church so they could learn about God and Christianity. She said that because they were born into it, that it is too difficult and dangerous for them to get out. I might try to talk with Jean more. If she's wanting to learn more about God, I would like to keep sharing the gospel with her. Maybe God would use me to bring her to Jesus and she could get saved. I was thinking that we could do a get-together with them sometime. Eventually, Jean had invited the Jensens over for lunch on a Sunday after morning church. When the time came, Joy, Judah, Grace, and Anthony went to Jean's home. It was at a trailer park in the bad part of the town. Definitely not fancy. Several trailers had junk on their lot, and most of them were poorly kept. All the trailers were lined up in tightly packed rows. Hers was one of the smaller single wides, closely wedged between a couple other trailers. Grace felt uneasy being there. Her face made a grimace that she was unaware of. Even though she determined to be polite no matter what, Grace herself lived in a trailer. That wasn't the problem. She wasn't used to that type of environment or neighborhood and didn't want to be around these specific people who claimed to be part of witchcraft. She didn't have a choice, though. Her spirit didn't feel right and felt a heavy weariness in her chest, especially knowing the information her mom found out about this family a couple weeks prior to the visit. Ben and John were there at the door to greet, and Jean had stepped outside to welcome them and led them inside. The boys towered over her petite body when she came through the door and crossed paths, almost touching just to get by. The space was awkwardly tight. Grace squeezed her body together just not to touch. As she crouched by these acquaintances, her space felt violated. She wanted to go and go now, like she was trapped. Why didn't I ask Mom if I could stay home? She felt regret. Grace wasn't usually this uncomfortable, but this was most unpleasant in multiple dimensions in soul, spirit, and body. She did manage to put on a small smile when they were greeted at the door, though she didn't feel like it. In the small, cluttered, encroached space of the home, being that Jean and her boys were all obese, she felt physically stuck, and the space started to envelop her. Her face blanked out, trying not to show discomfort. Sorry there's nowhere to really sit. We're just moving in, and we haven't unpacked everything, Jean apologized. To add to it, there were no couches or furniture to sit on. Just one small table with only 4 chairs in the tiny, overcrowded kitchen, where Jean was preparing to serve the meal. Grace tried to disappear into any space that was semi-unoccupied. When she finally found a stool that wasn't being used, she moved it away from everyone as far as she could and took her permanent seat for the remainder of the visit. All she wanted was for it to be over. As she sat there trying to eat, though not really hungry anymore, her stomach churned inside. Her focus was to avoid interaction with anyone. Come on, time. Hurry up so we can leave and get ready for evening service. Grace didn't notice, but her knees started bouncing impatiently. The boys all headed outside to hang out. They must have felt the cramp and wanted some moving and breathing space, leaving the gals inside. It brought in a little more breathing room, so Grace was able to relax a little more, still hoping and praying that time would go by quickly. The whole time, she just felt yucky inside. It felt like a heaviness, a weariness in her spirit, a rotten weight in her chest. It was spiritually dark and hard to explain. She was ready to leave no later than the time that they arrived. From the physical sense, nothing bad happened, yet her spirit waved red flags. She had a gut feeling that something was bad. Finally, the time came to leave, to go get ready for second church service that day. All eased up again, she soon forgot all the discomforts of the visit. The Jensens didn't gather together with Jean's family after that, but Joy certainly kept in touch with Jean, all for the purpose to win her soul and to be her friend. Jean, Ben, and John continued to attend Abundant Life Christian Fellowship. 2 weeks before Grace experienced hearing that man, whoever he was, talk to her dog through the kitchen window, she had another family dilemma. Joy told the 3 siblings that she and Alan were getting a divorce and when it would be finalized. In about 3 weeks, Alan was going to drive down to Sierra Vista to pick up the boys and take them to Oregon with him for the rest of the school year. That's what both Judah and Anthony wanted. Joy and Alan knew their children, Judah, Grace, and Anthony, were old enough to decide whom they wanted to stay with over the school year, and of course, they would be with the other parent during the summer. Grace chose to be with her mom during the school year and her dad during the summer. She knew her mom would take her to church, and that was important to her. That, and she didn't really want to change schools again.